at the grass, how it grows. Look at the birds when they fly away. Anywhere they want to go, 'cause they were born free. You know they were born free. Man and man was born free. I and I were born free. So why can't we be what we want to be? We want to be free. So colonial rulers come along and free up the freedom. Free up the black man. Freedom for freedom. Free up the black man all over the world. How long we've been living in the ghetto. Just look how long we've been slaving down there. And we live the poorest kind of life. Now we want a chance to prove that we were really born free. Our fathers worked so hard and couldn't make a living to prepare a foundation for their children. Soldier, I'm a wondering, 'cause something must be wrong. Something must be really, really wrong. Oh, something must be wrong with the black race. Free up the freedom. Free up the black man. Freedom for freedom. Free up the black man all over the world. Free up the freedom. Free up the black. Outcry to walk the street bathed in blood, muddy, muddy, mixed with sweat and tears, a whole lot of years. Say I've dreams to materialize, man, get wise. The new martyrs found among so-called madness of the city. What a pity. Babylon can't see. Free I, Rastafari. The herbs smell while the calice buzz.
Good evening, good evening. My name is Dushko Petrovic, and I'm the interim director of Low Res MFA. I'm really happy to welcome everybody tonight, and we're really excited to be hosting Damon Locks, the multi-talented, multivalent artist, musician, educator, and SAIC alum, actually, right? Yeah. So, Denenge is going to, do I see Denenge? Hang on. Sorry, the glare is so... I think we're waiting for Denenge. Oh, there she is. Here she is, making a grand entrance. Denenge. Daist Akpam.
All right, hi everyone. All right. Oof. All right. Hi everybody. Wonderful to see you all. It is my great honor to introduce the brilliant and inimitable Damon Locks today as part of the SAIC Low Residency MFA program. I have witnessed, admired, and been deeply inspired by your work for many years as part of this extended family network in Chicago and beyond. Through your collaborations and initiatives that help us as ever-expanding communities to understand what freedom can really mean, and to understand the collective body as evolving commemoration, dynamic testament, and living monument. I'll begin with a biography. Damon Locks is a Chicago-based visual artist, educator, vocalist, musician, and DJ, known for decades of varied projects in Chicago's underground music and art scenes. Locks' CV starts in the late 1980s, I was about to say 1800s, but also that, with the band Trenchmouth, and is highlighted by work with the Eternals, Exploding Star Orchestra, and sound animation work using unheard Sun-Ra recordings from Experimental Sound Studios archive. Locks attended the Art Institute of Chicago, where he received his BFA in Fine Arts, and since 2014, he's been working with the Prisons and Neighborhood Arts Project at Stateville Correctional Center teaching art. He is a recipient of the Helen Coburn Meyer and Tim Meyer Achievement Award in the Arts. In 2017, he became a Soros Justice Media Fellow, and in 2019, he became a 3 Arts Awardee. He spent 4 years as an artist in residence as part of the Museum of Contemporary Arts Space Program and at Sarah E. Good STEM Academy High School. And in spring of 2022, he taught his first semester in the sound department on improvisation at SAIC. Damon leads the Black Monument Ensemble and co-founded the band The Eternals. Originally conceived as a medium for Locks' sample-based sound collage work, Black Monument Ensemble has evolved from a solo mission into a vibrant collective of artists, musicians, singers, and dancers, making work with common goals of joy, compassion, and intention. Galvanized by Locks' conceptualizing, poeticizing, and guiding vision, with multi-generational contributors from all facets of the diverse wellspring of Black artistic excellence in Chicago, including Angel Bat Darid, Nicole Mitchell, Anna Martine Whitehead, and many, many others. Locks has stated an interest in work that explores the Black nod, which, as he explains, is an unspoken acknowledgement that happens often and out in the world, a sort of I see you moment exchanged between Black people. His work with BME attempts to do the same. Fronted by a jubilant choir, the ensemble embraces a kind of civically engaged artistic approach to activism originally heard in the 1960s from bands like the Voices of East Harlem and on albums like Max Roach's We Insist, originally seen in the photography of Kwame Braithwaite and the art of Emery Douglas. Locks employs a cyberpunk palette of disparate elements, including beatbox, boombox, telephone, and megaphone, to make narrative compositions of mind, sound, beats, and archival speech brought to life by the ensemble in electric improvisational performance. Now, as is our tradition, begun by Greg Bordowitz's framing of this low-res MFA program through the lens of poetics, we begin our artist lectures and colloquia with a poem. And inspired by the collaborative remix of your practice and the layers of history referenced in your work, and the collective writing exercise that Terry Capsalas shared with us, I prepared some poetic nuggets, some included in this year's low-res reader, which resonate with work and magic we engage in this program, culled from a range of poetic writings of our ancestors and trailblazers in the world of Black arts movement and Afrofuturism in reflection of your practice. Please feel free to chant along at any point you should wish to join in the spirit of Black radical imagination. Nikki Giovanni, in On My Journey Now, looking at African American history through the spirituals, writes in a chapter titled The Moan. They rowed these people out to the sailboats that were going to take them to America. When they put people on ships, and it was deliberate, they separated family groups so they could not speak to each other, so they could not plot. So the slavers had these people on their hands who they had to keep healthy looking, or else they weren't going to get anything for them. Sometimes they had to force them to eat, because some of them would go on hunger strikes. They were packed head to toe in the ship. Anything that came out of the next person fell on you. So the sailors had to bring you up and pour water on you to more or less wash you. It's not a wash, but it does what it's supposed to do. It gets off the dirt and mess that's covering you. By that 6th or 7th day, or maybe around the 8th day, they could no longer see the land or the heat, so there's going to be a restlessness because people are beginning to feel lost, and by now they're thinking, well, this is farther out. So now we have the Africans in a position of not really being able to see anything familiar. But of course they followed the clouds, and we do know that clouds above land are different from clouds over water. So they could see that land, and that land had to be that way. So we're going to have a serious problem somewhere around the 10th day. And those who study this, I'm just a poet, but the people who study slavery say that those ship's captains knew that this was going to be the day that, I don't want to say all hell is going to break loose, but the day they really have to tighten up, because now people realize they will not know how to get home. Fare you well, fare you well, fare you well, everybody. Fare you well, whenever I do get a home. What those captured people had, which is why I so admire those people, was a tone, a voice, a moan. They made a decision because they had to decide, do we shut ourselves down or do we continue forward? Done made my vow to the Lord, and I will never turn back. I will go, I shall go, to see what the end will be. I told Jesus it would be all right if he changed my name. I told Jesus it would be all right if he changed my name. I told Jesus it would be all right if he changed my name. In Max Roach's Freedom Now suite, Abby Lincoln sings, whisper, listen, whispers say we're free. Rumors flying, must be lying, can it really be? Can't conceive it, can't believe it, but that's what they say. Freedom Day, it's Freedom Day. Throw those shackling chains away. Black Arts Movement co-founder Amiri Baraka writes in Bopera Theory that the use of music must be understood. Music goes more deeply into the spirit than words. Music is a living creature, a human intellectual and emotional creation with a readily apparent spirituality that transcends the visible world of its creator. It goes out of the world as the colors of the world. We have 5 senses, yes, but these are merely the ones the present world are prepared to use. Add 5 more to the 5 we know, then we'll be getting somewhere. Music is a profound speaking, moving, raising, perception, and teaching, the old folks said. As we consider the living monument, Baraka's SOS poem painted on Chicago's Wall of Respect at 43rd and Langley invited, calling all Black people, come on in. And Elder Hakeem Madabuti activated that sacred site in his poem, Gwendolyn Brooks. Into the 60s, a word was born, Black. And with Black came poets, and from the poets' ballpoints came Black, double Black, purple Black, blue Black, been Black, was Black day before yesterday, blacker than ultra Black. Sight as body, history, location, collective community. Maiwan Kwan defined sight as phenomenological, logical, social, institutional, discursive. Reverend A.W. Nixon, the white flyer to heaven in the early 1900s with Jesus rounding the planets, higher and higher, Saturn, Jupiter, all aboard. 80s band Lakeside beckons us to come aboard and ride on the fantastic voyage. And Glenn Goins reminds us as George Clinton descends in the mothership, swing low, sweet chariot, stop and ride. If you want to ride, help me sing. Come on now. This is an invitation. Afro-Cobra's manifesto declares it is nation time, and we are searching in the spirit of nationness. We are examining the roots and branches of our African family tree for the seeable, with its most expressive of our people art. And we invite you, super real African people, you are our standard of excellence. Come and see us, got something for you. And finally, in the spirit of Wattstacks and generations of Black teachers who raised their students up with pride, I will end with the poetics of what has been called the National Black Litany. I Am Somebody, written in the 1950s by Reverend William Holmes Porter Sr., pastor at Wheat Baptist Church and civil rights activist in Atlanta. I am somebody. I am somebody. I may be poor, but I am somebody. I may be on welfare, but I am somebody. I may be unskilled, but I am somebody. I am Black, beautiful, proud. I must be respected. I must be protected. When we stand together, what time is it?
Nation time.
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 All right. Thank you, Damon.
Thank you, Denenge. That was a wonderful centering. I appreciate that. I think before I start, I need to set a vibe. I need to work off the vibe, bring more vibe. And while I'm doing that, I know that we are, coming off of COVID or coming down from COVID or rolling over COVID or being rolled under COVID. But if you feel like coming closer to me because these bright lights are too much, please come closer. You're not obligated, but it's going to be better if you do. So I'm going to make a vibe, see what we can do here. I won't leave the music on all the time, but I was trying to figure out how I would start tonight, and I thought, when talking about the work that I do, there's lots of different ways that you can talk about your work. You just gotta pick the good way. You could talk about it many different kinds of way, but you could do it in a bad way. So I think today I'm gonna operate and kind of come through by way of a search for community. And I think that that's secretly what my artwork has been trying to do for the last, y'all do the math, but 2007 on. And I picked this first piece because this piece was like my first like entry point into that spark, that first idea of maybe I could make some work dealing with community. Now, Denenge mentioned this responding to Sun Ra artwork at ESS, or not Sun Ra artwork, Sun Ra audio at ESS. Terry Capsalis asked me to join her in doing an animation project, but I also did visual art, and the earliest version of this piece was part of that show. When I did this piece, I had just quit my job, and I was sitting in my apartment, and I thought, what does an artist do? Like, I quit my job so I can be an artist and a musician. But I was like, well, what does that mean? Like, what do I do? What does that look like? You know, I could design sneakers, you know, I could do, you know, wheat paste. Like, these are the things that I was like, oh, some of the people that I knew were doing these things, do some wheat pasting, and, you know, I could do design, you know, figurines or dolls that would be, you know, giant big heads and cool zigzags on them. And none of that felt right. And I thought, I want to work in community. And I was like, but the problem is like, what does that mean? Like, who is the community? Like, if I walk around, can you guys see me? Is it like worse, or is that okay? Okay, so what does that mean, and what does it look like, you know? And I thought, okay, well, there's a community that I can like perceive from my apartment on Belmont in Sacramento, and that community is like those are the folks that I could reach. And I thought, you know, students and teachers. You know, like I was like, I can reach them. You know, I have lots of friends that were teachers. My mom was a teacher my whole life. And so I reached out to one of my friends who was a teacher, and she taught at the Young Women's Leadership Charter School that was just south of downtown, predominantly black and brown young women. And I said, hey, can I come to your school and like meet the students and show some artwork and talk and take some pictures? And I know that taking the pictures seemed kind of weird, but I was judicious, you know. And she said yes, and they were, after my first visit, I found out that they did double Dutch competitions. So I was like, hey, can we, if the next one, can I come and take pictures? And this is one of the pieces that was made from that visit. And the very first art show that I ever did, a version of this piece or one of the other pieces were up. And we arranged a field trip for the Young Women's Leadership Charter School to come see the work. And when they saw themselves in the work, like, wow, you know, I was like, man, this is amazing. And I thought, this, like, I was like, this is exciting me. I was like, okay, so how do I keep doing this? Like, I'm gonna put this in my back pocket, you know? And it was something that, like, I knew that I needed to continue. And again, like, how does that happen? Like, what do you do? Like, how do you stay engaged? How are you, like, kind of immersed in the scenario, you know? What's probably going to happen, by the way, is I'm going to forget to show more images because I'm talking, right? But we're just going to roll with it, right? I got images, I got some video, I'm going to do some more sound. We'll get there, okay? And so I kept doing this process. Like, I kept going back to the school And people started giving me some opportunities to do work that was kind of like politically motivated. I was like, great, I'll do that, and did some work. I did a piece based around teachers that focused on my mother, and it was great because it got shown in DC, and my mom was there, and she was like, that's me, oh my God, this is my son, he did this piece, and that was fire, I started, fast forward a little bit of time. I'm going to skip some of the stuff, but fast forward a little bit of time, and I was asked by a friend of mine, Heather Radke, if I would be willing to do some artwork based around the ideas in the exhibition that they were doing, and those ideas were freedom, time, and play. And where I would be working to make this artwork was Stateville Correctional Center. And so she was like, would you be interested in working, teaching in Stateville Correctional Center and making work based on freedom, time, and play, and whatever you make over the course of that semester will go in the exhibition? I said, okay. Stateville Correctional Center. I'm like, yes. It was like a maximum security men's prison. They said yes. I was like, okay. I was like, okay, Damon, you wanted to work in community. Put your money where your mouth is. Here's an opportunity to go to a place, create work that artists don't normally have access to. So I said, okay, I'll do that. They said, cool, what will you do? I was like, I don't know. Animation project, because that sounds dope. And they were like, great, we'll do an animation project. You'll come in spring semester, you'll teach a class, it's an animation class, boom. As I often say, I was good, except for I've never taught a class before, never been in maximum security prison before, and I'm not an animator. Besides that, I got it. I brought that animation here, I'll show you. But what happened over the course of that semester was, well, let me just say, let me reverse that for a second. My first day, I wanted to go to Stateville before I started teaching because I was stressed. Like, I didn't know what it was going to be like, So my first day, walking down the hall at Stateville, I saw black men, lots of them, and like an inordinate amount of them. But what they said to me is they said, hey, what's up? What are you doing? You teaching? Yes. What are you teaching? Art? Cool. I'll try to get into the class. I went in, talked to folks, had great conversations for that first day. I wasn't teaching yet. And when I came back, I did a semester of work working on freedom and time with 11 guys who were serving life sentences, and they opened themselves up to share their feelings about freedom and time from their perspective. And the conversations I had, they were transformative. I stumble over the word transformative because people use transformative all the time. But I was like, but this is really the word. This is what happened, And when the project was done, I was like, okay, so you want to know what to do with your art, don't do anything less than this. This was like collaborative. This is like highlighting voices that people don't hear from enough, and it was beautiful, and it impacted people in their lives. And so I set that standard. But the problem was, for me, it was like going into Stateville was difficult. Like going through the door, the gates, feels like you're complicit in this justice system. But the work and the conversations were so impactful, and the learning, the things I learned were so amazing. Like people congratulate, hey, thank you for doing that work. I have a hard time accepting that often because I am learning so much, But it was a real turning point for my work. because there was a reality that was hitting me. You know, like when I thought about artwork in a totally different way, because I had already been focusing on political work, but I was like, this is life and death here. And as I was going into Stateville, seeing our justice system, I was coming out of Stateville, and Mike Brown was murdered. And so I was in a stupor. I was stunned. I didn't know what to do with my visual art. Whereas I loved the pieces like this, I was like, well, what do I do with them? Do I put them in a frame and hang them up? What is that doing? Like, what is that doing for me? What is it doing for the world, you know? And so I stopped making visual work for a long time because I couldn't figure out what I was doing and what it was doing. Though I feel like it was successful work, I was like, I can't do this. So I focused on teaching for several months, I think for the rest of that year, from the spring semester all the way through, probably for almost a year. And I'm going to show you the animation project. Cool? I left my house real nervous today because I was like, Damon, your brain is being real fractured today. You're going to jump around in this thing, but you can make it work. So hopefully I'll make it work. So that was what was being made when I felt the kind of intensity of, black people getting killed on video all the time, and Stateville was what looked like 90% black men. And I also took a break in visual work. And I had to figure out what I was going to do, and so I was feeling a lot like I was having this crisis where I was like, what happened to progress? Like, was progress actually a thing, And I was like, maybe progress isn't a thing, and I need to do a piece about that. And Miriam Kaba, Rachel Kydor, and Essence McDowell had a piece that was, a gallery show that's focused on postcards. And it was a lot of postcards that the argument was when the postal system started, they were passing around these images, and that's how the United States got their idea of what blackness was. So it was watermelon images, it was a alligator with welcome written on its tongue with black children walking towards it. And it was a very powerful and intense show. And I thought, maybe I should do some kind of performance, some kind of programming for the show. If I sang a song, then in that context, it would mean something. I was really interested in what I would do in that kind of space. And so I asked them if I could do it, and they said, yes, let's put a date down. We came up with a date. They put it on Facebook, back when Facebook was the thing that people cared about. And people were like, great, you're doing a thing, I'll go. I was like, awesome. The only thing is I don't know what I'm doing. I forgot to mention that that animation was hand-drawn with tracing paper and pencil, 100 frames each. So they took their pads of paper, put an X on one side and a number on the other, and drew, put another piece of paper on top, drew X number and they, none of them had animated before, and there's some incredible work. That's all, every time I see it, I mean, come on, when the baby comes on the other side, you know, it turns into America, oh my God. Anyway, so I decided I would make this piece that was a sound piece, and I pulled out all my like samplers and little gadgets, and because of this Pointer Sisters song, Yes We Can, I was like, oh, this sounds like Now. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna call the show Sounds Like Now. And I would play from my archive of records people talking about the same issues that we're dealing with now. So whether it's Angela Davis talking about incarceration, or Ruby Dee and Ozzie Davis talking about, reading Langston Hughes, or Fred Hampton, or black soldiers in Vietnam. So I did this piece where you could listen to these voices in contemporary time, and when it was done, the last piece I did, I had a percussionist come up with me, and I wrote a song called Sounds Like Now, and I sang the song with the percussionist. And after the show, after the performance, people during the performance, people sat down and closed their eyes, and after the performance, people talked about the performance. They talked about the music, and I've been playing music since I was a teenager, and no one talks about the show afterwards. They're always like, oh, just go watch X-Files, it was the 80s. And so I thought, okay, keep that in my back pocket, This is something I need to keep doing. And Krista Franklin reached out to me and said, I'm doing something at the MCA. We're working with these young West Side dancers, called a dance company called Move Me Soul. Would you like to collaborate with them to make a piece in response to the Merce Cunningham exhibition that we have up? And I said, yes, I'll do that. Community, you know what I'm saying? And what happened was these 5 young black women from the Austin neighborhood choreographed their own work, and I did samples from Duke Ellington to the Car Wash soundtrack to quoting Kerry James Marshall from the MCA video that he had just had in the show, and everything I gave them, they made the most beautiful work out of it. It was amazing. There was a moment in their performance when we were rehearsing where 3 of them stood right next to each other, right in a line, and they did a move where they would reach up, and then they would touch the ground, and then they come back and strike a pose, and every time in the rehearsal, they messed it up. While we were actually doing the performance, I happened to look up from my machinery in time for them to do the thing, and they nailed it. And I thought I was gonna burst into tears. I had goosebumps. I was just oh, and I was back pocket, I was this feeling has to stay. This is what I need to do, I did a piece based on Move Me Soul, young ladies. And so I spent another year honing this performance practice, listening to archival recordings from civil rights era and beyond. And I kept performing. I performed in New Orleans in a friend's living room. A bunch of people came out. It was packed. It was packed, and right before I played, a white woman came with a small white child, And they sat directly in front of the speakers because that was the only spot that was available. Now, the Black Vietnam recording that I have, the Vietnam soldiers, they spoke very frankly, without restraint. It was a very nationalistic, black nationalistic time period. The Panthers were around. They experienced lots of racism in Vietnam, and so they spoke about it candidly. And so while I'm like working and I'm performing this piece, I was having a lot of anxiety about when I was going to play this. I was like, what do I do? Do I not play it? I was like, I got to do the piece. I got to do the piece. The piece has to be, you know? And I play it, and while that section is on, I'm like, because my goal was not to traumatize a child, you know? That was not what I was trying to do. So the piece gets finished, and this guy who I'd never met comes up to me, black guy, shaved head, beard, knit cap, comes up, and he's like, how you doing, man? He gives me a big hug, and I'm talking to him. His name is Ben Lamar Gay, and now he's a good friend of mine, and we play music together. But that was my introduction. He just hugged me, and it was great. So I was like, I know this is good. This is good, back pocket, you know? But I spoke to the woman whose house it was, and I was like, I'm really worried about that child. And so the next day she called the mother, and she was like, hey, I just want to see, is everything okay? Is Jimmy okay? And the mom was like, I was worried too, so I said to Jimmy, are you okay? Was anything in the performance, did anything make you uncomfortable? And Jimmy said, yes. And she's like, oh my goodness, what can I do? What made you uncomfortable? And Jimmy said, my jeans. They were itchy. And she's like, is that all? And she's like, yeah. And Jimmy said, yeah. And I was like, okay, good. I didn't traumatize a child. But I spent the next couple years, next maybe year and a half, applying to stuff. Arts and public life, Project Row Houses, because I had this concept that I need, maybe because of the fact that gospel music was the soundtrack to civil rights, I was like, I feel like we're going through another civil rights era. And because I was like, maybe it's not, there's a lot of good reasons why gospel music was the soundtrack. You know, that was a space, gathering space, a community space, a political space. And the hymns can also be translated really well. I was like, but maybe we actually just need black voices in unison and harmony in times like this. So I'm going to put a chorus together. And so I applied. I feel like I did pretty good. You know, if you apply this thing and near the end, you have to do a phone call and talk to them and talk about the project, but I didn't get it. I never got the thing. So I applied to this residency at the Hyde Park Arts Center. Yes, at the Hyde Park Arts Center. And it was I applied for the year, I got 3 months. I was like, y'all know me, 3 months. I'm gonna utilize the hell out of this space. You'll give me more time. That was my thoughts. And once I got in the Hyde Park Arts Center, I decided I'm going to perform this project in the Hyde Park Arts Center. And I was like, but where do I get the singers from? I haven't gone to a black church since I was a kid, you know? And I thought, okay, well, the Chicago Children's Choir, I will reach out to them, and someone I knew had some contact there, so I wrote this email to Josephine Lee, the executive director, not having any idea that Chicago Children's Choir is huge, and if Kanye needs a children's choir in Chicago, he'll call them. You know? So I'm writing this person, and eventually they get back to me and agrees to have lunch with me. I pitched this idea, and Josephine Lee was like, let's do it. I was like, great. Here's the demographic of the kids I want, blah, 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 5 kids. I booked the time at Hyde Park Art Center to do it, and then Josephine gets harder and harder to get a hold of. And the time is coming, and I'm super worried. And when I finally get back with Josephine was like, whew, you're going to do this next month? I was like, yeah. And I was like, it might be tough. And she's like, yeah, it might be tough. You might want to not use children because rehearsals are going to be hard. Use adults. I was like, great, thank you. And so she gave me 5 adults, 20-somethings, and I started rehearsing at the Hyde Park Art Center. I found out later they thought I was crazy because I was like, here's my tape, here's my song, and they're like, I don't know what this is, But when we performed, I had a friend videotape it, and when we performed the last song, at that moment, the smiles on their faces, they got it. I had that same percussionist come. We did that same song, Sounds Like Now, and a bunch of other songs. And I was like, Gah! And a bunch of people, Krista Franklin came out, a bunch of folks came out. And I was like, this is beautiful. This is my jam. I love this. My life is looking good. I'm working with Move Me Soul. I got these 5 strangers now that are interested in doing the work with me. And yeah, I just kept building on that. Since then, I've continued to work at Stateville. Other friends are working at Stateville. The folks, some of the people in 2014, the ones that didn't get transferred, are still in my class. I'm teaching class this summer. So some people I've known for 8 years that are incarcerated for the rest of their lives. Yeah. In so many ways, I feel really lucky. But, I had to make these moves. I had to make these choices. Since Black Monument started, we were able to do this big show and expand at the Garfield Park Conservatory, and luckily the engineer, it was so stressful. It was so stressful. I had musicians, dancers, costumes. I was breaking out, I was really stressed out, and the stage got built the day before at Garfield Park Conservatory, the day before we played, so our first rehearsal was the day before. One of our singers, Monique, was like, for the intro of this one song called Rebuild a Nation, do you mind if Raina sings it? Raina's her daughter. Raina was 7 years old, but Raina was at all the rehearsals. And I said, I have a 7-year-old black girl sing? Hell yeah, let's do this. Let's make this happen. So this was all happening. The performance was fantastic, and 2 weeks later, the engineer, the guy who was hired by Red Bull, sent me a stereo recording of the whole show. I had not even thought about recording it, and that became my first album. So luckily that platform happened, and we were able to continue on from there. I haven't done any of the things. Black Monument Ensemble has been such a gift to me in the same way that Stateville has been a gift to me. Black Monument Ensemble has been an incredible challenge. Making the music is the easiest part, but holding the space and holding on, especially through COVID, trying to figure out how to support and maintain and have a group over the course of that. A group with 5 vocalists during COVID. Okay, here's where I'm gonna go, right? So, all right, COVID. You guys remember it, right? So, COVID hits. We are, my partner set up an Instagram for for Black Monument. I wasn't going to do it, but then she did it. So the COVID, I got nothing but time, so I'm doing the Instagram, right? People are returning to the first Black Monument record, Where Future Unfolds. And so people are like, in that terrible time, people are like listening to those recordings. We released a song that wasn't on the album called Stay Beautiful. And Stay Beautiful was like the perfect song. I was mad that it didn't make it the album, but like, when a month after COVID hit, we released Stay Beautiful, and it was very touching, moving. It's a song that I wrote to Chicago because Trump had been blaming everything on Chicago. And so I had written a song called Stay Beautiful, which I imagined Chicago as someone ailing in the hospital, and flowers arrive for them with a note that says, "We see you, we love you, stay beautiful." And so releasing that in the COVID era it took on a whole different meaning. And people had made videos where there was a beautiful video where a black cyclist, was riding around the circle as a drone camera pulled up, and as it pulled up, it said Black Lives Matter down the street, and a song was playing, and Democracy Now! Had used the song for their coverage. And so members of my group were like, when are we going to do something? Like, when are we going to say something? It had been 2 years. It had been 2 years, like 2018, in the winter of 2018 is when we did the recording. When are we going to do something? So I had to conceptualize of like how I'm going to do something. What does that look like? What does that sound like? Like all the things I wrote about in the first record, we were all living. So there was no point in saying the same thing. So I really had to like operate in a totally different way, because there wasn't that community. There wasn't that like engagement. We had to engage over the internet and over the phone. And so I set up a situation where I asked everyone, met them in the park, asked if they were up for trying to record. I set up a situation where we would record in the backyard of a studio. And we would record in 2 parts, all the singers, the clarinetist, and myself in the backyard, and then a month later, the drummer and percussionist and cornetist, the trumpet player, would record then, kind of breaking it up. So we're not, like, all 9 of us aren't together. And like that moment, those 2 days were in August. There was like 92 degrees outside, no shade. Actually, there was 1 tree. And, but it was beautiful, The second day, after we packed up, the second day was one of the 2 days, I'm going to say it was the first day, was the anniversary of the March on Washington that Martin Luther King organized, and the anniversary of the death of Emmett Till. The second day, we did the recording. We go home, successful. I look at my phone, and Chadwick Boseman died. I burst into tears. I was like, I'm getting a little verklempt at this moment, but I didn't even know that I was going to be so affected by his death. I was like, come on, really? The biggest black superhero in the world is dead? Jeez. I'm going to show you that video. We made a video for the new song, the song from that. It's called Now, Forever Momentary Space. And the song itself, like I had to wonder like what I would say. And there's a short story called Jump by Cadwell Turnbull that I read. At first I heard LeVar Burton read it on LeVar Burton Reads, and I found it and read it over and over again. It's this beautiful story about a couple who have walked a long distance one day and they don't feel like walking back. So one of the guy in the couple says, let's teleport. And she was like, oh, come on, don't be crazy. And he's like, no, trust me. And they hold hands. He says, close your eyes. And when I count to 3, imagine not the soft grass that are under our feet. You jump and imagine the concrete in front of our house. They do it, 1, 2, 3, jump. When they jump, they land right in front of their house. Oh my God. And so over the course of the rest of the story, the guy wants to do the thing over again, and it doesn't happen. It starts to weigh on their relationship. All of a sudden, he is hassling her, making her, and she's like, look, if we can't control this amazing thing, why can't we just appreciate it? Let's just let it be. And he can't, and it ends their relationship. If anyone's going to read this story, I'm spoiling it, but it's still great. It's really, I mean, I've read it 6, 7, 8, 10 times. And so they break up. The phone call happens. I have some of your stuff. Can you come by the house? He comes by the house. He's got like a matted beard. His hair probably looked like mine. There was a little jab on my own hair. And she gives him his crumpled hat and the box of his stuff, you know. And he's about to leave, and he goes, you want to try it one more time? Totally not expecting her to say yes, but she says yes. Okay. And he's like, oh my God, this is insane. So he holds her hand. They close their eyes. He says, 1. She grabs his hand tighter. 2, he starts to feel a little shift in gravity. 3, jump. And that's the end of the story. Love this story. So what I got out of this story was, like reading it during the COVID era, but still reading it today, what I got out of it is that moment of possibility, like this moment. So I wrote a song called Now, Forever, Momentary Space, and I'll play it. I don't even know what time it is. I haven't done anything. And I knew this was going to happen. I haven't even pulled it up ahead of time. Oh, my emails. I should write that guy back. You guys don't mind, do you? Because I work here. My computer is signed into the internet. This is great. Oh, and hold on. My videos? Will that do it? No? This is the best part of the talk. Yeah, come on. It was a good setup, it really was. No, let's go back here. Why does it say studio? I've never seen that before in my life. All right. Your account. That's exactly what I was trying to do here. Yeah, that's what. Studio's still there. Thank you. All right, here we go. There's going to be an ad.
Crunchy cookie M&Ms.
The new Starbucks pink drink is like discovering a luscious strawberry utopia. irresistible.
Who's in charge of the sound? Is this?
felt that one.
Yeah, that was a forever momentary space. That was a momentary space.
I literally felt
Yeah,
everybody's breath.
yeah. I hope y'all don't cut the cicadas out. That ending, woo, they sounded good. How it sound, Alex?
Thanks. So I came up with a plan because I haven't really shown anything, or haven't shown. I have shown things, but I wanted to show some more art. So I'm going to.
Like Mike, if I could be like Mike.
You want to be like the greats? First, believe you are. Greatness requires drip, not like that.
I'm going to put together a little thingamabob so then the artwork can run while I'm telling you a story. Okay. All right. Can I get it to play? Will it just play it? Slideshow, yeah, thank you. Okay, so where we are now, right, since it just said now, I don't want the toolbar. Can I do it without the toolbar? This is great to be a professional. What? Yeah, but where do I find it? Yeah. I got it. I think, no, hide. Yes, hide. I clicked it. Okay. All right. All right. So now, where we're at now, right? Since that's where I was just on the screen. I'm now teaching at SAIC in the sound department, doing improvisation class. I'm now still at Stateville. I'm now working with Black Monument Ensemble. I'm now have a project called New Future City Radio with a new album coming out at the end of the month with horn player Rob Mazurek. We're playing at Co-Prosperity Sphere on the 28th of this month, record release as well. That project I think is super interesting, collaboration with a fantastic musician, and the concept behind that album is if we were doing a community pirate radio station. We had guest DJs. I wrote texts for the DJs. Andres Hernandez was nice enough to be one of our guests. He's on our new single, The Concord Hour. Yeah, I've learned a lot, and I'm still learning. I'm super excited right now. So the Black Monument Ensemble has been a project that now has gone to different countries. And we've had lots of different experiences because, rolling 9, 10 deep of Black people, you learn stuff, We were going to play at Utrecht at festival. About a week before we went, our manager sent me a text message at 8 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday, and I was like, I'm not looking at that. But I did look at it, and she said, this doesn't look right, does it? And it was these images that they made for the festival. They were making Instagram posts, and they were making a magazine that was internal. We didn't know this, but internal magazine. And the drawings of us all had giant, big red lips. And I got them to take it down immediately, and then found out that they were like, we'll stop printing the magazine as well. And I was like, yeah. And so I wrote one of the best emails I've ever written. But one of the hardest things in my life to do was get everyone on Zoom and share this information and share the images with people. Because at first, for me, I wanted it to go away. And I was like, I don't want anyone to see this. I don't want to talk about it. But they were on the internet for 20 minutes. So if they find out about it and I didn't show it to them, then that's on me. So to see their faces on the Zoom when they found this out was heartbreaking, but what happened was it caused a lot of conversation. Is that the last one? Yeah. Caused a lot of conversation. People were like, do we want to play the show? What should we do? How do we address this? And my ultimate decision was we should play the show, because if we don't play the show, no one has to have the conversation. They don't have to confront the thing. And so we went. People actually had a difficult time walking around in Utrecht, actually, in some of the restaurants. In the festival, the only black people were playing at the festival, were playing the show. But I had made this pin that said "Black is Beautiful" with a picture of our youngest singer, Raina, on it. And every black person we saw at the show, we gave one of these pins to. And we brought them over to our food table every time. We had a whole group of us. And it was a really amazing experience, because we had to really come together. We had to understand that this wasn't an art project, this was reality. This is why the group exists. The next day, after the gig, we flew to London to play the London Jazz Festival, and everyone was amazing. The people there were so welcoming, they were incredible. The show in Utrecht, I've seen the video of it, we are not happy. We couldn't play through that energy. The guy who I emailed with, we were there on a Friday, we were playing on a Saturday. My manager was upset because on Friday they didn't reach out to us at all. And on Saturday, after we played, the guy who ran the festival was waiting for me backstage, and he said, "Hey, I just want to apologize, blah, blah, blah." I wasn't happy. It didn't make me feel any better, but I said, "Well, thank you for apologizing." Angel Bat-Dawid, if any of y'all know Angel, that person booked Angel in Europe, and she had fired him in the interim, and he was like, "Do you know where Angel is?" I was like, "She's right over there, so good luck with that." And so I said to the record label owner and our manager, Brenda Hernandez, well, at least he came and talked to me. And then Brenda said to me, Scotty, the record label gave him shit the day before for not seeing us. So that was the reason why he came. And so we were like, okay. But the next day, after we left, we were in London. There was a guy named Fusion who hosted. He was great, black dude, British guy. He was like, how do you, no, I'm not gonna do my British accent. He was like, hey, in the introduction, do you want me to amp him up, or do you want me to, I was like, you know what, it's our job to amp him up. You don't have to hype him up, you know what I mean? And he was like, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna hype him up and then bring him back down for you guys. And I was like, okay, Fusion. And he did it, he was amazing. So what I'm gonna do for y'all right now is I'm gonna show you the end of that show. And the end of that show, we normally end with this refrain of Black Monument, Black Monument, Black Monument, Black Monument, Black, you know, and we walk off the stage. So we do that, and there's this, oh, you'll see. There's a hallway off to the side, and we just keep going. And for me, like that wasn't for the audience. This moment is what it's all about, and this like reinforces to me that a community is together, you know? And the experience in Utrecht, as painful as it was, the community that we made with the other black musicians there was really invigorating and really important. So I feel lucky that I'm regularly getting this energy, and as an artist, the kind of collaboration and that like contact keeps me moving forward, keeps me making stuff, keeps me excited, because the next day or the next performance or the next piece of art gives me another opportunity to have something like moving and important happened to me. Okay. Art part done. Wait, I want to show you some Move Me Soul because they're so amazing. One second. I'm gonna end up using all the things. It's gonna be good. So this is that MCA show, the first show that we performed. That's proof that I was playing with them. This is, I brought them to the Hyde Park Art Center during an event day, a studio visit day, and we did a performance. Anna Martine Whitehead, one of the teachers here, performed with us Black Monument Ensemble at the Garfield Park Conservatory, and that's such an adorable picture, I had to bring it. This is the Move Me Soul at the first Black Monument performance. Yeah, so good. Okay. Oh, hold on. This is also good. All right, we're doing good, right? I'm doing okay. I like how I ask, or I just say we're doing good. That's the best way to do it. We're doing good. Come on, open up. All right, so this is, so Black Monument, okay. That was at rehearsal. Angel's giving them some daggers. No, she's okay. This is just one of the coolest pictures in the world, so, right? Yeah, it's just an amazing shot. Okay, so London. I'm gonna, after this, I don't know what I'm gonna do exactly, but I'm gonna end soon, don't worry about it. I think I wanna do something here just to make some sound since I brought it. But this London thing is like so good that I should just close on it. You know what I mean? I should just be like, and just drop the mic. But I'm gonna ruin it, okay? By doing something after it. Okay, here we go, London. Where? Yeah, London, here we go. Nope, you. There we go. same person that hugged me at the New Orleans show, New Orleans performance.
She called it cheap. She was thinking on you. Like she be like this all of a sudden. She like. She's scared.
action has to come. I don't know where from, but action has to come. Action has to come. I don't know where from, but action has to come. It is terrible, it has to be cleared up. We want some action now. It is terrible, it has to be cleared up. We want some action now.
Our thing is only important when it is really our thing, meaning that it is all the black people's thing.
One time. All right. Two times. Can you do it? Yeah. Sure. Reason. All right.
My favorite time is before the sun goes down. I go across the old freight yard, onto the dock. Where I see planes, boats, trains. You know, a long time ago, people used to gather on the edge of the water, just like moths, and they stayed there. And that's how a lot of people live.
Thank you.
Thank you, Damon. Questions?
Sorry, my hand just shot up because I'm really excited. Thank you for being here. I wondered if you could talk about layers in your artwork, in your music, and it seems like just about everything you do, you're working with different layers. And I just find that really interesting, if you could talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I think I'm naturally collage-oriented, and I think but that collage orientation expands out to collaboration, you know? So the more layers there are and the more people that are involved, the more, like, the deeper the conversations are, you know? So whether it's layering visual work or layering sound or, like, making work based on, like, 10 people, there's, like, multiple ways for people to engage with the work, but then it's like all of the colors, like all the layers of the colors and all the flavors that are in the soup. So for me, it's like the preferred way to work, you know? Also, in many of the collaborations, since like I'm only like one of 10 people, then I can like sit back and be like, ooh, that's good. Because it's not like an ego thing, you know, I can be like, they did a good job. So I hope that's helpful or answers the question. Okay.
Thank you. Hi, thank you.
Hi, no problem.
Thank you. I have a question about now in the video in Lena Horne. The time is now.
Can you say it one more time?
Lena Horne.
Lena Horne, yeah.
The time is now.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes?
Yes. Lena Horne is phenomenal. And Lena Horne became, like, I'm going to say that without Lena Horne's, permission, has become like the patron saint of Black Monument Ensemble. There's a vocal sample of Lena Horne in one of our songs that says, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm not going to stop. And where it is in the song, just her cadence, the emotions that she's bringing to that moment, which I think is like 60s moment where several people are assassinated. I think that she's also lost people in her family. And that thing that she brings, that's why I like using samples, because it's like collage. Like, you know, if you're doing a collage and you're like, I'm going to cut the tree out of this space and I'm going to add it to this space, you get a whole new image, but you're also getting the grain, the light, and the colors from the original tree. So when adding Lena Horne's voice and her feelings and emotions to the song that we have, it just like elevated it. And what I will say about samples is when I first started using samples, I was in my band, The Eternals. I was thinking, ooh, I hope no one catches this sample. You know, like I don't want to get in any trouble, right? But these days when I use samples, I really feel that my job is to continue that conversation forward. So I'm actually super proud if someone says, Lena Horne. I'm like, yes, let's talk about Lena Horne. Let's like continue that message forward.
Hey, your Simple Pack is crazy. Like, yeah, you make me want to pick up an MPC myself and go to town. But I have a more compact question. It looks, when I see your work, your collage work, your performance, it gives me a sense of like everything needs to be broken through. You want to break through. It just seems like the way you meticulously pick what projects you want to partake in, and then like the societal aspect of the indifferences we have to experience, there's that breakthrough, that like change and push resilience factor. So my question is, like, you brought up progress. So, I mean, I could sense it in your work, but I just wanted to hear from your mouth, like, what is progress to you and how meaningful is it when you're creating?
Okay, so good question. Progress, as I kind of interpreted in the beginning, progress like was a false sale. We were sold on this idea of progress, you know? And is that really a thing? Or is it just like, is it cyclical? Is history repeat itself? Is it doomed to repeat itself? And I think that moment, like I was in a real kind of apocalyptic energy. I grew up a punk rocker, so apocalypse was my thing, you know what I mean? Like, you know, Blade Runner, like any apocalyptic movie, that's my jam, right? But there was a time when the world became apocalyptic, and my natural punk rocker in me was like, I can't do apocalypse anymore, you know? That I liked apocalypse way before this whole thing was a thing, you know? And so there is like, and it could be age too, but there's a thing that I'm kind of after, that excitement of possibility, you know? I mean, we've been doing these things for so long, right? Like I've been going to see shows for a really long time now. I started when I was 14, you know, 1983. And for a long time I was going to shows and it wasn't doing anything for me, you know? But my brain was like, if you just reframe something, then that magic can happen all over again. You know, like if I was talking to Rob Mazurek from Exploding Star Orchestra, the guy who I did New Future City Radio with, but he was asking me about his group Exploding Star Orchestra, which I'm in, and he's like, what would you do if you were in charge of Exploding Star Orchestra? And I'd say, well, for one thing, forget the clubs, you know? I was like, what if you were at Division, Damon, Division, Ashland, and Milwaukee. And the orchestra was playing there. And people were getting out of work and coming up from that train station and they heard Nicole Mitchell playing flute, or they heard Jason Adashevitz playing vibraphones. I was like, people would just be like, oh my God, this is amazing, right? I was like, yes, it's simple as that. Like, create a different framework, put something into a different space, you know, and then that thing can happen because we all want it. And we all can, when we see it, we know it, you know? So for me, it's not as much that I think about process, it's more I'm thinking about like opening up that space again, opening up that possibility of now, you know? So we can see that now there's a moment where there's a moment where anything's possible because it hasn't happened yet. And that's now. So we're always in a position that we can do something. And so that's what I think. Progress, I'm not so sure about. You know what I'm saying? Societal progress, that's still in debate. Okay, are we good? Okay, wait, before we end. All right, so New Future City Radio, right? I mentioned that. If the video and sound people are still there, the new video, Concord Hour, I'm gonna play it because it's dope. Okay, and that's the real closer. Like I'm not gonna hold you any longer. Okay, that's the real closer, right? You're gonna hear Andres at the beginning. Okay, this is it. I promise. Okay, so for those of you that are old enough, I was trying to figure out what to do for this video because I feel like we nailed the first video, which was called Yes, and I sent my friend Rob Shaw, who I still work with, he was credited on that first animation. I sent him the opening to Here's Lucy from the 70s, and he got it. He knew exactly what I was talking about, and he put this together, and we made this, and it's here.
And we're back. You are listening to the Concord Hour, brought to you by Redistribution and Preparation. We reconfigure, recalculate, and never replicate. The Concord Hour starts at 8 p.m. Let's remake this city using our own designs.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Big round of applause for Damon Locks. Thank you.